All right, there we go. Hello, hello. John S. Rhodes here of the Rhodes Brothers. Welcome to Greater Wealth Through Mastery. And this is how to go from being lazy to being very, very productive. This is a simple mastery program. I've got 5 steps and an important bonus step or idea at the end. So stick with me throughout the entire training. I'd be happy to share that bonus with you. All right, so number 1, you are already a master. And I truly mean that. You can do things like eating, you can do things like using a computer and clicking and typing. You've already mastered these things. And the reason I bring them up, those particular simple actions, is that you already know what mastery is all about. You know how to take control, you know how to command, you know exactly how to take charge, you know how to add energy to something and get a result that you want and have it be very seamless, very easy. You know what productivity actually feels like. And you also know what it's like to go from a stop, from feeling lazy to being very productive, if it's something that you happen to be interested in or it's something you do on a regular basis. Really, a combination of those things is best. Okay, number 2, you forget that you're a master. So you're already a master. That's key. That's essential. You're a master at so many things, but you forget it. And you forget that deep inside of you, all the way through the outside world, you forget that you're a master. You don't notice the skills that you have. You don't notice the things that make you great and highly productive already. And the reason for that, it's like the curse of mastery, the curse of knowledge, the curse of experience. And what happens is that as we do things, as we gain experience, and as we do them better and better and better, they become more automatic. There's less thinking, so they require less consciousness. They require less attention, and we honestly kind of forget about them. But we do have that mastery, and it's built into our habits, it's built into our thinking, but it's under the surface. It's something that's sort of like subconscious and deep inside. It's automatic. We call it automaticity, okay? And it can be something as simple as tying your shoes. Like, tying my shoes, who cares? Well, if you don't know how to tie your shoes, well, it's a big deal to learn how to do that activity. And all of life is exactly like that. It's like, well, I don't know how to do that, whatever the topic is, whatever the thing is that you're trying to do. It could be public speaking, it could be crafting great sales letters, it could be creating a new info product. It could be almost anything. But when you start, you are a beginner. You know nothing. But over time, you get bigger, faster, smarter, stronger, right? You know that, I know that. But of course, it starts very small. It's usually atomic. It's not something grand and huge. But the key is that as you are accumulating the skills and the experience and the knowledge, you are becoming a master of one thing after another. So yes, you are a master at many things, and yes, you've probably forgotten many of the things that you have mastered. Like you don't realize or don't recognize that they actually are things that you are the chief, you are the winner, you have overcome. Now, number 3, and I've already mentioned this in terms of going from lazy to productivity, is you can create mastery almost out of thin air, quite frankly, by leaning into habits. So recognizing that you want to create a habit. Now, most people think of habits in a bad way, like, oh, I'm smoking, I'm addicted to smoking, or let's say drinking, oh, I drink, or maybe chewing or gnawing on your nails, or doing other things, right? Just things that are counterproductive and low value, or if not negative value. But many, many things in our lives actually are habits, and really stacked up habits. And in fact, Matt and I, my brother Matt and I, we talk about habit stacking, but that's for another topic for another day. What matters is that mastery can be created, generated, and pushed forward well into the future by creating these wonderful habits and doing this habit stacking. So you get good at whatever it is you want to get good at. You can break it into parts and master each one of those parts, remember it. And what's the best way to remember? By documenting what it is that you would like to do, the habit that you'd like to establish. Something simple might be, hey, I'm going to journal this. Something simple might also include creating a checklist. It might be for like a morning routine or a pre-flight check, right? The kind of thing where it's like, I want to do this particular activity. I want to be a master at it, but I want to do it by way of a habit or a set of habits. And I want to stack these habits one on top of each other's so that by the end, I have this amazing mastery in some domain. Now, the domain doesn't need to be huge. Like, you don't need to master your health. That's pretty big. You're probably going to master one particular thing. It might be exactly what you're going to have for breakfast, or it might be mastering the habit of drinking enough water during the day, or it might be breaking a certain kind of habit. That is true, and you can master that through replacement. Let's say you think you are consuming too much, let's say caffeine, and you want to reduce that, so you might replace that with water or lemon water with stevia or monk fruit or something else. And that new habit will displace the old habit. But again, the key here is that mastery comes from habits, and you can go from being very lazy about these things like, oh, chug-a-lugga, 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 I'm going to keep drinking that coffee in the morning. While what you can do is take one step back, 2 steps, 3 steps back and say, okay, what is it that I really want? Well, I want to get away from the caffeine and I want more hydration. I want more water. So I'm going to establish one or more habits that allow me to go from point A to point B. That is lots of caffeine to no caffeine and lots of H2O in whatever form that you wish. Now, that's a big one because habits are so easy to create if you are proactive about it, if you plan for it and you know what your end goal is. So it's really, really cool. Now, number 4 is, I've talked about this before. I want to bring it up again. If you want to master something and you're lazy, you need to have energy. Now, where does that energy come from? It doesn't necessarily need to be body energy, like, you're going to eat some food or you're going to eat some chocolate or sugar or caffeine, like I just mentioned. It doesn't need to be something like that that then powers you forward. It doesn't need to be drugs, chemicals, or anything of the like. Instead, what it can be is that you look to the horizon for inspiration. When I say the horizon, you look into your future, you look at your long-term goals. Actually, it can be short-term goals, medium-term goals, and then long-term goals. But if you look into the horizon, right? If you look into the future, the horizon, the best future you, or if you have a role model, perhaps you have a mentor, perhaps you have a program or a system you're following, look to the future and use time to your benefit to pull you forward. You can have a vision of a brighter, better future, which is totally awesome. I know you can do it. And in order to do that in the most specific way and most generic way that I'm sure you've heard before is just like, hey, have a goal. Now, the goal might be for today or it might be weeks out, months out, years out. But that goal is what's on the horizon, what's in your future. And that can be the energy, the fuel, the battery that allows you to sort of push yourself forward, or it's probably better to say to pull yourself forward from the place that you're at. Because obviously you're at point A and you want to get to point B, and there's a gap between point A and point B. So you might as well use your goal, your future, the better version of yourself, mentors, models, and systems that are sort of laying things out for the future, and target those, and you'll be in great shape with that. Now, number 5 is that, and this is what's so interesting. Many people don't know the secret, and that's truly what it is that your passion and therefore your energy grows with practice. And that is as you are trying and struggling, and then you, importantly, of course, the obstacle is the way. Obviously, as you're bashing your head against the wall, as you're struggling, as you're fighting, what'll end up happening is that you do get better over time. And then because of that effort and the feedback, that you get the dopamine rush and the overcoming and the social energy, the social proof, the actual results. Maybe you're creating a product and you're selling and the money comes in. That feedback loop makes you happy. It juices you up. And guess what? That's what will make you anti-lazy, non-lazy. It will make you be the least lazy person that you know. And why is that? Because you have passion about what it is that you're building, creating, doing. So activity creates anti-laziness. It's what allows you to master your life. So you don't need to have, this is the key, you don't need to have passion before you start. You can start and the passion will come. You don't need to have energy to start, very minimal. You just need enough to get the ball rolling. Lazy doesn't mean doing nothing. Lazy just means like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But it doesn't mean zero. Of course, you have to do something. Nothing will happen if you do nothing. But if you do a little bit, that can lead to the next bigger bit and then bigger and bigger and bigger. And that will fuel the passion that you crave and that you, quite honestly and quite frankly, that you need. Practice doing this. Practice. Even if you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, go through the motions, change your state, jump up and down, leave, come back, go after it again, edit, tweak, and tune. You don't necessarily need to create fresh, brand new, produce every single time. You can go back to what you've already done and go, I'm going to take a look at this. Okay, maybe I can make it a little bit better. 1% better every day. 1% better every day. And before you know, what happens? Bam! You are into the future. It's almost like a time machine. You have passion, you have energy, you have created passion, and you have generated your own mastery over whatever it is you have been going after. Now, I did promise this as a specific bonus. Passion follows work. It's not work follows passion. And I've already sort of given you this hint, but again, you do not need to have passion or be passionate about something. Frankly, just do the work and you will get more passionate about it. And that's really the case for anything. You'll notice that maybe you had a negative impression of a class or a course that you were going to take, but you had to take it in school, let's say. You're like, I don't want to take English. But then you get into the class and the books you're reading are awesome. The teacher is awesome. The students are awesome. And you realize that you actually, even though you had a very negative attitude to begin with, I'm sure you can think of a class or a course where it was like that, like, I do not want to go to that class. But then you start going and you get jacked up, you get energized, you get fueled, and it's from doing the work. And it didn't take much. All you had to do is go to the class. And you're like, those books aren't too bad. Then it's like, wow, the books are great. That teacher, I've heard okay things about him or her. And I go in, boom. And it's like, that teacher's pretty cool. The teacher's passionate. And then it's infectious. And so on and so forth. So plan and do the work. And I would have the attitude, if you're lazy, that you must fight. Don't just roll over, but fight. Think of it as an actual war. Fight. And then over time, you will moderate. You'll temper, right? Things will get more smooth, more easy. I think you know this. I think you realize this. But if you need to channel a little bit of angst or anger or frustration, if you just sit there, you know where that will be aimed? Do you know where that will be directed? Back at yourself. You'll sit there and wallow in self-pity. You won't get anything done. And the negative mentality, the negative energy will be folded back upon you. So you might as well use that negative energy and the frustration and maybe even the fatigue and the grumpies, and you can aim it at something and just do a little bit of work. And this should make a lot of sense based on everything that we've gone through here together. Reward of success gives you the passion that you desire. And what that really means is productivity for free. Productivity for free, because You started off and it was difficult and challenging. You didn't want to do it. You were lazy, but now you know you can overcome that with very, very small actions, tiny little habits, stacking up over time. Then you're juiced, then you're jacked, and then you have the battery that you need so that you're not lazy anymore. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You jump out of bed with positive emotion, with energy, ready to go get them, and that's how it's done. So, from a rational perspective, the rational mind as well, because this is a lot about emotion, right? But there's a rational part of this, which is you work, then passion. Work, then passion. That is a rational path to mastery. It is an easy way to go from lazy to productive because you know that if you're lazy and do nothing, it's a negative storm, right? It is going to drag you down. You drag yourself down. You are your own worst enemy. Get out of your way by stepping forward from the old you into the future, the new you. And now you have the tools to do that. Now, obviously, on the Rhodes Brothers channel, we cover many ways of doing this with many tools from artificial intelligence to the proper mindset to some cool manifestation using certain techniques that are on the Rhodes Brothers channel. If you look around, and actually, if you look on the screen now, you should see the next video appear any moment. And I strongly encourage you to look for your passionate breakthrough, right? Your path of mastery is right here for you now. Again, this is John S. Rhodes of the Rhodes Brothers. On behalf of my brother and I, thank you for being with us, and we will see you in the next training. Take care.